I mean, who knew 1 week after the brand new segment, Is Peter a Jerk, that we'd have a second episode. Kristen and Dame join me, the peanut gallery, so to speak. Hello, friends.
Hello.
I don't know what sound a peanut makes, so I'll just say hello.
Lady and gentlemen, first off, Kristen's having an amazing hair day. She got her hair done on Tuesday. It looks so good.
I wish you wouldn't do that. But...
We were in a team meeting this morning on Zoom, and I had to remind myself that even though Kristen and I are friends and co-broadcasters, that openly complimenting a woman's hair on a professional call is a bad thing to do, so I didn't. Instead, I'm doing it on the radio where no one can see it.
Well done.
Thank you.
That's not the jerk moment. Guys, not necessarily jerk moment. It's just sort of just an awkward moment I experienced this week. I was invited to a business dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And this is coming off of heels of several years ago telling Mrs. Planer that I had a business event and being surreptitiously slapped down when I got home that evening after she had seen me on the local news judging a pie eating contest. This was, in fact, a real business dinner. And at the dinner, somehow, some way, and I didn't bring it up, the idea of massage came up. This is a multi-gender dinner. So there are 4 men and a woman. This dinner, someone brings up massage. And I said, have you ever thought who instigated the very first paid massage? Was it someone saying, hey, look, let me rub you and you pay me 6 cents? Or was it someone who said, I need rubbed and will you pay me? And I sort of like went down this thought path with my new dinner companions who had never met. And I found myself at the end, people were laughing, but I couldn't tell. Is that problematic?
It's something.
It was a pretty gutsy topic to chase on a first business dinner conversation.
But it is an interesting question. So, Kristen, in the world of paid massage, let's go back to whenever this happened for the very first time. Who instigated it? Was it a person who wanted rubbed and was willing to part with wampum or whatever? Or was it someone who said, you know what, I need some money. Hey, can I rub you? What do you think it was?
I think it was the latter.
Okay, so you think someone offered to rub someone for money?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Dame, here on this financial show, top 1% podcast in the world, and this is financially related, should be on the air. Dame, how do you think the first massage happened? Paid massage, of course.
I think Kristen probably is right, because I don't think, we're assuming this is a long time ago. I don't think we have to assume it was a man asking a woman for this service. I don't think the man would have offered to pay for it.
That's interesting. Okay, anyway. Hi, everybody.
What a day.
Is it? Hi, let's do a radio show. What's going on with you guys? Dame, how's your life?
Eventful right now. Aquaduns have a long course swimming meet this weekend, so lots of swimming in a very hot natatorium. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds very wet. Are you yonder? Are you this way or what?
Still in the great northeast of Indiana, but we'll be spending time in the Indy metro area soon.
Great. Kristen, eventful weekend?
I right on cue. I am going to a bachelorette party this evening.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's do the show. You guys want to do the latest email that just came in first?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I just pulled up the calculator. Someday I won't. All right. In 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com. And here's what will happen. The geniuses, not me, Kristen and Dame, will give you wonderful, intelligent answers. And I will try to shoehorn jokes in between their answers. I mentioned them. Let's meet them. Kristen Elanius, hello.
Hello, Peter. Dunn.
Good hair day. Dame, good day.
Do you think Kristen knows what a shoehorn is?
Kristen, do you know what a shoehorn is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I just thought maybe it was something for olds.
It is, but I still know what it is.
My son uses a shoehorn to get his soccer boots on. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Let's do this. Dame received an email, and Kristen, I need you guys to answer it. Dear Kristen, Dame, Peter, and the birds.
Love it.
I don't hear the birds today, Dame.
Oh, they're very quiet. They must have full bellies.
Did you eat the birds?
No comment.
I am hoping to receive insight from one of the top 1% podcasts in the world. Great start to the email.
Yeah.
I am 40, married with 2 toddlers. Ooh.
Who has the energy?
No one has the energy. Currently, my wife and I bring home about $175,000 a year. Damn, I am going to need an actual timeout here.
Got it.
Do you think bring home means after taxes, or do you think bring home simply means that's their salaries?
I am going to go under the assumption that they actually bring home 175 a year. Kristen disagrees.
Yeah,
I
Kristen.
disagree. I think that's their gross income.
I agree with Kristen. I kind of got stuck on that. I can see it both ways, but I think it was just like a throwaway phrase that unfortunately conveyed a dual meaning. Anyway, we continue. We have $800,000 in retirement on top of a fully funded emergency fund. If it matters, we live in the Midwest where cost of living is low.
Can I get a timeout?
Yes.
If they gross 175 a year and they have 800 in retirement, they're doing, I mean, it's much more likely that they're both maxing out 401ks in order to get to 800 at age 40.
It's actually a really good point.
True.
Continuing. Here is my dilemma. The only debt I have is my mortgage, and it weighs heavily on me. I'm in sales. Can I read the rest of this as a sales guy?
Just a paragraph.
Okay. I'm in sales and can have wild swings in income. My wife works part-time, and therefore we rely heavily on my commissions. All right, continuing. Now comes the crazy idea. We owe about $200,000 on our mortgage. Our house value is $650,000 American dollars. And am I completely out of line to want to cash out some of my Roth to pay this off? I feel it would bring a lot of peace to my life as I no longer have to worry about my job and the economy. Talk me out of it. I will let the 3 of you debate. Birds don't get a vote. Good day, Brian. Ugh. All right. You know what? I always give Kristen the first swing. Dame, wield your axe. What do you got, brother?
So I believe the question is, am I completely out of line to want to cash out some of my Roth to pay this off? Yes. Yes, you are.
Okay.
First of all, for those of you that may not be familiar with how Roths work, we're 40 years old. In order to access all of those funds without any penalty, you're going to have to be of a magic age. Kristen, the magic age is?
59 and a half.
Correct. Not there. So we only have access to the contributions to these Roths at this point, which I'm going to guess are less than $200,000. So
that's a really interesting point. I had not considered the math of that, Dame.
So either you're not going to pay it all off, which if that helps you sleep at night, I guess that's a consideration. But if you do want to pay everything off, I'm betting you're going to have to pay some penalty and potentially income tax on the gains on that as well. And that's just it's not great. I would much rather you focus on building margin in your month-to-month life, which you likely already have since you're in sales already. You have some flexibility in where you're spending, and then just focus on getting that knocked out bit by bit, maybe with some bigger commission checks or bonuses or whatever come along. But I don't like the idea of cashing Roth out to pay off a huge chunk of money like that.
Miscellaneous.
Brian, Congratulations on being so money vigilant that you have reached a place of over-analysis of your financial life. Welcome. Join me. Like,
Ah.
I love this because it's someone who is doing so many great things that they're like, well, how do I make sure that I'm prepared? I have contingency plan, not just like A, B, and C, right? They have an emergency fund. We make good money. We're saving for retirement. We're getting so far down the alphabet that now we are potentially coming all the way back around and could hinder our A, B, and C priorities by making this decision.
Yeah, it's funny. I also am like a hard no. Like I'm like as a hard no as you get. But for neither of the reasons that you all gave, which I actually like your reasons better than my reasons. Mine is two. I have two. The interest rate on the mortgage is going to be less than 8%. So the long-term power of the invested assets, in my opinion, is better than the long-term pain of the interest he has to pay. And then the second one is, I think a person is more motivated to pay off debt over time than they are to aggressively invest over time. So if he had the debt gone and then he exhaled, he may not invest as aggressively, can find excuses why to not invest. And it's potentially a situation in which he would have less money at the end because he paid off the mortgage and tried to invest the new proceeds. Do you guys buy either of my arguments?
Sure, they make sense. What I want to make sure everybody understands is that we're not minimizing the desire to be mortgage free and trying to figure out any possible way to do it. I think you're just going about it the wrong way, Brian. I think there's other ways to get this accomplished, not nearly as quick, obviously, as what you're hoping for, but there's ways you can structure this and create a long-term financial goal to have this dollar figure paid off over a certain amount of time. What you also have to balance is you've got 2 toddlers, and so now you're also going to be concerned about saving for college likely and continuing to build that retirement nest egg as well. So it's going to be a bit of a balancing act in the coming years of your life, but I certainly would not raid the Roth account in order to become mortgage free.
Kristen, where do you think, other than Dame's really smart there with like 2 toddlers, things can be stressful. You're like, I have to provide, all these sorts of things. Where do you think this type of idea came from? Do you think it's just down the rabbit hole of a money vigilant person that's over indexing? Or do you think this is some part of some cultural movement to be completely debt free?
Negative. On the latter, I think that this person, I think Brian has just tried to weigh every possible scenario, and that's how we got to this place. And to truly answer the question, Brian, if this is something that keeps you up at night, maybe consider like recasting the mortgage so the payment would be lower. Maybe that could be an intermediate, happy medium for all of us here.
I love the intentionality a lot. It clearly has served Brian for a couple decades. Dame, I'm stunned by the fact that I didn't even consider that it's unlikely they have $200,000 in Roth deposits. I'm stunned by that.
I'm a little shocked myself.
Shocked that you came up with it, or shocked that it wasn't on my radar?
Shocked that it wasn't on your radar.
Yeah, because it's close. It's possible.
Sure.
It's actually possible, but I find it inconceivable.
But it's possible a good chunk of those are, well, yeah. No, I find it unlikely, but it's possible.
Well, let's take a break. Let's calm down. Let's high five. And after the break, another email question from our lovely listeners. I'm Pete the Planner. Hey, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
How upset do you think, he mentioned in there that his wife works part-time. How upset do you think Harrison Butker is about that?
I am not touching that. I will not be touching that with a 10.
The only thing Harrison Butker is upset is that they don't have 6 toddlers instead of 2.
Oh my Lord. We were talking before the show. I won't share your views.
Thank you.
I disagree with Mr. Butker so wholeheartedly, but you know what? That's the thing. People disagree. I'm like, let's just move on. Like, yeah, I'm going to joke about it because it's joke fodder, but I'm like, he should not kick a football anymore. It's like, calm down. I disagree. It's okay. Move on. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I assume neither of you want to weigh in on that.
No.
Speaking of weighing in, Dame, I'm officially on Weight Watchers.
Really?
Yeah,
Like the official thing?
I am. I have got an app. I've got points. I go through them very quickly. My kids are like, my daughter got home from school yesterday. I worked remotely. She walked in. She was like, "Do you still have any points left today?" It has become a cultural aspect of my life. I am on Weight Watchers, and I don't have a ringing endorsement yet because I have so much anger, anger,
Mhm.
that I yell at commercials that feature bread or carbohydrates.
Yeah. Yeah, because Weight Watchers was like the OG low carb, right? Without calling it that. Because you get less points from low carb foods.
To some degree, it's really more the difference. Look, for me to tell you the difference is for someone who doesn't know. Saturated fats are a big issue with it, right?
Mhm.
So whereas on like an Atkins, saturated fats don't matter. You're just like bacon all day and night.
Mhm.
Nice.
Anyway, so I'm in a bad mood.
He's hangry.
I am, and it's like they're like, you can eat all the grilled chicken you want. And it's like, okay,
and
and I don't mind that.
Barbecue sauce and ranch. And what else?
I get, and as the day goes on, I get so upset. And I've been on it for 4 days now. I'm so mad in the afternoons. My wife is like nervous around me, more so than normal.
Probably messing with your most prized and favored ritual in the evening as well, isn't it?
Interpretive dance? Like what are you going for?
Pouring a cocktail.
Oh, pouring a cocktail. Here's the weirdest part, Dame. And I don't. Do people care? Am I oversharing? Sure, but here's where I'm at. I actually don't care that much about that. Like, I'm more disturbed by the change in my eating behavior than I am in the fact that I haven't been drinking. Like I can not drink. I don't really care.
You drop that pretty quickly whenever.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's
Which feels nice that I'm not an
Sure.
alcoholic.
Yeah.
Apparently, though, I am a carbaholic. I just want a freaking sandwich. That's it. I had a sandwich the other day and it was like, that's 11 points. I'm like, I got 17 points left in the day, and I simply had a turkey sandwich. So everyone, like, the anger, can you feel it bubbling up?
Mhm.
a little bit. Yeah.
Have we ever talked on this show? And I talk about it a lot around here at HQ with our friends. Have we ever talked about the links between weight loss through Ozempic and personal finance? Have we ever talked about that on this show?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Maybe we get there in the third segment today, because I have some thoughts. I think it's interesting and it's nuanced if you guys are willing to go down that path with me.
My only request would be if we're gonna, can we just say like GLP-1s? Because it's
Yeah,
okay.
sure. I don't care.
Okay.
Ooh, what?
It's like there's more than just that one brand.
Oh,
Do you have a deal with Manjaro or something?
Yeah,
like, why are you saying that? Like, are you getting paid under the table? You have to disclose that.
No, but like it. Never mind. That's
Okay.
a can of worms.
when we talk about paper, we just refer to it as Xerox.
Love that.
Damn.
Speaking of stock picks, if that Reddit guy could stop talking, that would be great.
Yes, of course. I took a course through the radio station 2 days ago, Wednesday, on defamation. So to make sure we don't get sued for saying things about people. And I will say, based on our Ponzi scheme or whatever, that fraud, I think we're still in the clear. We're still in the clear. We said allegedly enough, interesting times. So let's keep that up. Let's do another segment in 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show, Kristen had an amazing question come through the Ask Pete the Planner email inbox, which is just a dumpster fire of spam and other things. Hi there, longtime listener. By the way, I know this emailer who wrote this.
Aw.
She might be one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. Like, truly one of the kindest humans. She's a delightful spirit. Hi there, longtime listener who loves your show. I watch on YouTube every Friday. Well, hello, friend. I'm not going to name out loud. You're so delightful. I really think highly of you. My financial advisor has recently left his firm and is going out on his own. I'm 62 with plans to retire at 65. And while I really like him and feel that he has done a great job with my investments, I'm a little leery to move all of my money to his new business. He'll be under one of the major investment companies, but it makes me feel like I will be starting over, kinda. I haven't met with him yet to discuss if I will be following him, and I wonder what your thoughts are. If you could offer any good questions, I could ask him to make my decision. Thank you. I love this question so much. Kristen, do you want the first swing since I handed the axe to Dame last time?
No, I do not. I feel like my take is not that exciting, really. So let's start with Damien.
I really wish we had this person in our chat that's going on side of our stream right now, so I could ask a few questions and hopefully get a few answers, because I'm really curious as to where the feeling of starting over is coming from. I'd like to dig in there a little bit and try and understand what the anxiety is that's surrounding that. Once you develop a relationship with an advisor and the company that they're with, and you're used to seeing, statements or emails or whatever it is, I get that. It's a sensitive topic, and you are trying to make sure that you are comfortable in something that is out of the norm for a lot of people. And now one of those variables is changing. The person that's still giving you the advice is still there, but you have no experience with the company you're moving to. And I get that. But what I want to make sure, and what I hope has been explained to this listener, is it doesn't necessarily mean that the investments are changing at all.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Everything could potentially be the exact same from where you're currently at to the new company. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it will. And I mean, there are a couple questions that I have in my head on where is he moving and why is he moving, and will there be some potential conflicts? They're not really conflicts, but incentives or encouragements to sell certain products at these places. So I have questions. I'm not saying that the concern is not completely unfounded, but it's possible that very little is going to change in that relationship.
I love this question so much. I'm actually going to probably write about it next week for my newspaper column. Dame, I want to hit on some things you said, but I want to back all the way up. Broker check. Run a broker check.
Sure, yeah.
Let's see if this person was influenced to leave by some malfeasance. Yeah. Like that's a good place to start. And I would argue if they're going to a big firm, it is unlikely that malfeasance was an issue. But I would also go to Indiana Criminal Records database. Kristen, what do you call that? What do you call that?
My case,
Indiana.
Yeah, you use it as a verb. You my case people or whatever.
Correct.
Yeah. So be like Kristen and my case people, and see if there's any civil lawsuits. Dame, you're so right, because if the assets transfer in kind, and the person that told you to get those assets in the first place is the same person, as long as they stay in kind and all of a sudden there's not a bunch of transactions, then you'll be fine. And I think the question is, okay, I assume we're sticking with the same portfolio because it's still the same brain managing my money. But if this is like, well, I had a variable annuity at this place and now I'm moving, so now I'm going to get a new variable annuity with surrender fees. No, thank you. I'm not interested in that. Right?
Yeah. I mean, criminy. You've seen this 100 times at least in your experience, that somebody comes in, new client, and back in the day, if they didn't have certain limits, you were probably selling them A shares or C shares to try and just get them invested and do this. So if you build up this portfolio of retail funds, A shares, C shares, and now you're talking about moving into an advisory type of account where you're going to get charged a fee, that's not even all that unreasonable to do, but you better be able to explain that to your client in order to show them the value that they're going to get from making that transition, especially if they paid a whole bunch of money up front for A share commissions. So, I mean, if we're talking about moving from one broker to another broker, and now there's going to be huge portfolio turnover as well, I mean, that's a question that I would be asking. Okay, where am I seeing the value? What advantage does this give me on top of that? So, I guess my first question that I would ask this individual is, what's happening to my portfolio?
Yeah,
Right?
Chris,
Are there major changes coming my way in the investments I've got?
So, my question is in the second or third sentence. It says, my financial advisor has recently left his firm and is going out on his own.
hmm.
But then we say that somewhere, what did they say? Under one of the major investment companies? Are we just talking about this is the platform for the like he let's say is he are we saying that this person was like done squared investments and Peter and Damien were working together and then Dame went out on his own and now Damien's choosing a different company to manage like I'm confused by the terminology.
If I had to guess, it's going to be like Joe Smith is leaving Edward Jones and is now working with LPL, and they have their own RIA. They've got their own shop, and they're out on their own. They're not underneath somebody else's banner.
It's funny you say that. By the way, these are hypotheticals. So
Yes.
the names we're mentioning, do not read into. I had a sense that the person was an insurance-based financial advisor and is moving to an Edward Jones.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
And that could be dynamic because if the primary assets are an annuity, and I don't know why I think that. I simply don't. If that is the case, then you get into surrender fees, you get into, oh, actually we're going to manage this with equities and debt instruments. Like the fees start crack-a-lacking, right? Of okay, well, what are my annual fees going to be a year? Or the other reality here is this is terrible. This has nothing to do with her. This is the person maybe just felt like they're going to get more support with their career going forward, which is my hope. Dame, how much do you think it matters how old the advisor is? Because in my mind, I'm like, if this person is younger than you and me or about our age, makes a lot of sense. If the person is in their older 50s or 60s, it doesn't actually make any sense to me.
I don't know about that. I know a few advisors that I respect very highly who made a change in their early to mid 50s.
Well,
It
yeah.
was a major change from one dealer to another, and it was in it was in everybody's best interest to do it. I'm not saying that didn't come out better for them as well. It certainly did, but it gave their clients a better experience as well. So I don't know if the age of the advisor has too much to be read into on this.
Kristen, what do you think about that?
Well, the emailer said, what is the most important or what are good questions to ask? So is the most important question to ask why? Like, why did you move?
How about what's the impact on you? What's the impact on me? Is that
Yeah.
Not how old are you? Probably. How old are you? Like, are you more of a Barney Miller or more of a Cheers? Right,
Wow.
one of those.
Okay.
Things. Kristen has no idea what Barney Miller is.
No.
That's her age. All right, let's do this. I'm all worked up. I need to calm down. I'm going to light a candle, listen to some Zen music, and I'm going to come back with a hard-hitting take about GLP-1s and finance. I'm Pete the Planner. I'm so hungry right now. Actually, I'm not. I don't get hungry this time of day. I get angry around 5 p.m., like Pavlov's dog. Just anger.
Did we really answer the question there? Are we? So, what's happening in my investments? What's in it for me?
What's in it for you?
How does this impact me? What's in it for the advisor? Those are 3 questions. Do we want to give any more?
Are we supposed to be answering these?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are the questions?
What are good questions? And dig into, if you don't already know, like this particular advisor's investment philosophy. Like, did they move because they didn't really believe in what they were preaching originally? Like, why the change?
Which I could see if it was what Pete was thinking was
Correct.
insurance based sales versus more.
And while I would respect the move, if you didn't agree with it, I would be concerned that you were my advisor when you were under maybe a structure that you weren't as
Anybody can have a crisis of conscience, Kristen.
well, yeah, but
I love that we have substance spilling over into the break. It's normally my tomfoolery that spills into the break. Hey, Mary, if you're still watching,
If
just
that's your name.
it is, but no one knows anything. Mary, let me know what firm they were at and where they're going. Okay. And any of the things we just that wasn't a word. Any things,
yeah.
any of the other things we just talked about that you may have information on, just email me. We'll get you a good answer. We'll take care of you. I love that question. I really do.
If Mary watches every Friday, I would hope that Mary has recently done a broker check and
I
a
bet
My
she
Case
has.
search.
I bet she has. She's smart. I know she has.
And
Okay.
if she hasn't, send us the name because it's something we love to do.
Yeah, we love broker checking.
Kristen loves to My
Um,
Case.
You guys got an eye on the winning channel right now?
No.
I'm radio, Pete. I'm not paying attention to Slack. I'm locked in on you and Kristen. Our audience.
Yeah.
Being locked in on me is not going to help you. I am not the person to lock in on here.
I have been waiting for that.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'll go look.
Yeah, go look. Okay. Dame,
Hey, there it is.
I'm going to do my best to come up with something that you guys can react to in this segment.
Great.
I've thought a lot about this, and I'm going to overshare during the segment. I know you both well enough to know that I don't think you're going to come down with a hard binary stance here that is insensitive, not to me, but to others. But I'm hoping you can find the nuance. So what I'm going to do is I want to set up this idea that behavior struggles in nutrition have parallels to behavior struggles in finance, and that GLP-1 drugs offer something that personal finance has yet to have an equivalent to. Okay.
Okay.
Dame, are we so far so good?
Yep.
I love oversharing. It just makes me feel better. This is my accountability. Just be like, oh, send Weight Watchers points to ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. Oh man,
It's like carbon credits for Pete, just the Weight Watchers points.
Yeah, it's like Weight Watchers right now. It's like maybe we could do an endorsement deal with that guy. And I'm like, not yet, not yet, because I am on the precipice of trashing your organization on the radio. Give me another week to settle in.
Defamation training.
Oh my gosh. Here's the other thing I have to tell you. I went to my doctor the other day, and I have high blood pressure.
No.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, we're gonna put you on. I have not taken a medication like a monthly or a day. I don't know what even they're called. Dailies. I don't really do that. Probably for 20 years, I've not taken a medication, right? So now I take one, of course. And the one thing that you're not supposed to eat on this is the one thing that I felt so good about with Weight Watchers points because I love them. Bananas. I can't eat freaking bananas because I will get potassium overload with this ACE inhibitor I'm taking.
That
I know.
That sounds like one of those well, if you drink too much water, you can actually die. And it's like, but how much water would you have to? That's what it feels like. It feels like the place you would have to get to, you'd have to eat 100 bananas. That's wild.
If you've ever tried to change I say diet, not in the verb. Have you ever tried to change your diet, your intake? Do you ever have that moment where you just panic and you don't even know how to eat anymore? Where I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'm just gonna eat iceberg lettuce. I don't know. I just freak out.
Cheerios are like 1 point, aren't they? You can have like a cup of Cheerios for 1 point. I think one of my old bosses used to do Weight Watchers, and that was her like snack of choice because it was high volume, low points. So there you go.
Mrs. Planner said it looked like I'd lost weight in my cheeks this morning after 3 days. And I'm like, was I that bloated? And you do mean the cheeks on mine.
Knew it.
Okay. Racy content. Oh, I have a new podcast I started listening to.
Oh,
I don't know what it's called yet, but I'm listening to it. It's really good. One song. It's two music producers who work through one song and talk about the one popular song. I talk about like what's been sampled in it, like what's sort of the story behind the song and the lyrics and everything else. And it is, I'm not a big music guy, but it's really great. One song. Check it out. In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. Dame.
yes,
I'm going to overshare.
please.
I have reasonable personal finance behavior, as do the two of you.
Mhm.
I have struggled my entire adult life with reasonable nutrition behavior. And I make okay choices. I make bad choices. I make good choices. And I'll go through these periods. And Dame, you've known me a very long time. So you've actually seen these periods of what we call skinny Pete or fit Pete. And it's, I'll get into it and then I'm out and then I lose my fitness exercise regimen because of work or whatever other reasons I tell myself, and I find myself out. So just as a witness to the jury here, that is true, correct?
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Kristen, you've probably witnessed this from afar, maybe a little farther than Dame, but I assume you've witnessed it as well.
I have.
So during the pandemic, I ate a lot early, eating my feelings, and then 6 months in, maybe less, I was like, how about I work out? So I got crazy fit during the pandemic, like a lot of people, and I had to get a new pair of sweatpants because of it. So here's where I'm at now, and I want to be sensitive to other people's sort of behavior challenges and fitness and everything else. And so I'm only speaking of myself. Don't feel judged, please. Kristen, I've always believed that nutrition is synonymous with personal finance spending decisions. I just find the parallels to be eerie. And a person can be very interested. They can be not interested. They can log their calories / spending, or they cannot. They can somehow just use the scale the way they would look at their bank account. Like, you get the idea here. Well, with the introduction of GLP-1s, which are weight loss drugs such as Ozempic or Mounjaro or Wegovy, I love the great names. Where I'm trying to get my head around, Kristen and Dame, as you two are the personal finance experts in the show, is there a personal finance concept or tool that is the equivalent of those drugs? And I'll explain a little bit more why in a moment. I'll just pause for a second because people want to hear you. Is there a personal finance tool, idea, concept that is similar to those drugs? Because if you go with like the, if let's say Weight Watchers is Dave Ramsey's baby steps, what is GLP-1 drugs? Anyone?
Maybe it's just lack of exposure. Maybe at a higher net worth, higher income place, this is more likely to exist. Like when I think about like the 1%, surely, I don't know if this is how this works, but this is how it works in my mind, is like Taylor Swift goes, she doesn't manage any of her own dollars. I can't imagine she does. People are telling her they're spending on her behalf and they're telling her where to go and where to be and what to wear. And they're buying it for her, doing the things. So like the management, which isn't the same as a GLP-1, but is maybe the closest that I can come to on the fly, is like the lack of having to make those decisions at all.
I like this. and I don't want to disagree with you because that's not the point of this, because I asked you to do that. I have a friend who has a lot of money. And recently I saw this friend and he looked amazing. Like, dude had gotten it together in terms of fitness, and which, again, even to talk about it and say in those terms feels gross, right? Of like, oh, now he looks good. Previously, he didn't look very good. And come to find out, Kristen, he did the nutritional equivalent of what you just said. He has so much money. He has a nutritionalist and a cook, a chef that just prepares those meals, and a trainer. So he has the equivalent of what you just said. And I view that to be slightly different than GLP-1. Dame, what do you, I know, Kristen, I'm busting your chops, but Dame, anything occur to you?
First of all, if I had that kind of money, I would absolutely do that. And have
Me
somebody
too.
prepare yeah, there's no debate on that. So, well done, mysterious gentleman who now looks
So
better now than
handsome.
they did. Yeah. What we're talking about is trying to find a way to shortcut to a result by not requiring you to develop good behaviors along the way, right?
I think it's more nuanced than that. Do you want the nuance, or do you want to keep going?
Well, give me the nuance so I can pick that apart.
Oh, please do. And it's fair. And by the way, I will not feel attacked. I just want to make sure that, Dame, as we're doing this, that
Yeah.
if you're going to attack, or if you're going to have a hard take, put it at me. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I said to my doctor the other day, this is something I've struggled with for so long. And if I don't have a solution, then the victim to this is my heart, is my organs. Like, if I don't figure this out, then I'm in trouble. And previously, this same knowledge hasn't motivated me enough to change my eating habits. So knowing that, to me, a GLP-1 is a way to acknowledge you've got a problem, to acknowledge that your behavior changes haven't been enough, and to rescue your organs. And needless to say, as I said during the break, I'm on Weight Watchers now. I'm not on a GLP-1. But does that give you the more nuance I wanted to share there?
I mean, it gives me context, absolutely, and I would be hypocritical if I said that I haven't had those same thoughts or struggles. Maybe the the organs or whatever the reasons may be, but yeah, absolutely. And now we're both getting to the certain age where it matters, it counts. We're closing in on that. So, but what I often wonder is these drugs. They do have side effects. I mean, it's not like you aren't having a small roll of the dice if you're consuming them for this intended purpose. Whereas the long-term development of these skills would be a healthier alternative. And Kristen is shaking her head in disagreement.
With
Please.
good hair, though. She's
great
having an
hair.
amazing hair day. To see that head shake with that hair doesn't feel as bad.
I think maybe, though, a GLP-1 isn't defying the laws of thermodynamics. It's calories in versus calories out is still a thing. GLP-1s work, as I understand it. I'm not a physician, but as I understand it, a GLP-1 works by helping slow the digestion process and to quiet food noise. And that's usually something that people call to. And so it is actually helping your behavior, because in many cases, it's forcing the good behavior. It's forcing you to eat slower, to eat less, to be more mindful of portions. And the problem is, can you do that without the medication?
So let's do this, Dame. In not that you're going to come back and combat that point or debate that point, because that's not the purpose of the segment. With what Kristen just said, which I tend to believe is the path of this conversation, what's the financial equivalent?
I don't think there is one. I can't think of one. But when you were doing your opening to the segment and Kristen was talking about her example, I don't think there's an equivalent yet to this, and maybe there will be at some point in the future. But I just don't see a connection.
Kristen, remember the business that you and Gail talked about?
Yes.
I think that is, and I don't want to go into it because it doesn't feel necessary, but that is the equivalent of the first thing we talked about.
Correct.
I have this idea, and really it sort of turns into my thoughts around what we do here at Your Money Line. So you're going to work with me. We got 45 seconds left for me to explain something that's very large. I believe the issue, and we're going to have to use a food metaphor with money, is that people don't want to learn how the sausage of their financial life is made.
Mhm.
They don't want to have to learn how it works. And so, why are we still fighting that?
Mhm.
Can't we just give them sausage? Can't we give them a binary good, bad? I believe, and again, like from a tech solution standpoint of what we're building here, I think I have an answer. It's really freaking complicated, but it has to do with offering sausage as opposed to the recipe for sausage. And with that mystery, I will leave you that I have 25 Weight Watchers points left in the day, and we're going to a break. Coming out after the break, Blom and news. I'm Pete the Planner. Yeah, I said to my doctor this whole thing. He was like, damn it, who's this guy? Can you imagine dealing with me? And I don't know him that well. I see him once a year. He makes me call him Dr. So-and-so. And I'm like, okay, Jerry. I laid it out and he said, here's my 3 things of why I'm currently not inclined to prescribe you those drugs. And I didn't ask for those drugs. I just shared my thoughts, right? He said, number 1, they're crazy expensive. And and he goes, I don't know your financial situation. And I'm like, not a listener. But you can't afford it. But he didn't say that. He said they're very expensive. Number 2, when you stop taking them, and this is probably to Dame's point, you will gain back the weight. And he got plus interest. That's what he said, which I thought was cute. Then the third thing he said, I had never considered, and it actually was the thing where I stood down. He said, let's say we do it. We get past the other 2. You will get a dose of one of the drugs. And then you will graduate off that dose to a different dose as we sort of get you dialed in. First off, finding that first dose of that first drug is nearly impossible right now. And then when we go to the second dose, it's not just 2 shots. It's just different thing. He's like, then you have to go find that, and you're unlikely to find that in its sort of hierarchy. So you'll have to switch drugs, start over, and now you've wasted thousands of dollars. You've fallen off, and the results will be even worse because of the supply chain issues. And I was like, well, that actually makes a lot of sense, and that's a really compelling case. Had you considered that you have to source these things?
Yes. So if he hadn't, the third point, maybe the one that pushed you over, if he had offered and been like, because I think some physicians are really inclined to say like, yeah, do it. If he had offered a GLP-1 instead of Weight Watchers to mitigate what do you have? High blood pressure?
I have obesity.
Yeah.
I was saying this at dinner the other night. My daughter's like a bio class. She was like, is it morbid? And I was like, what are we? This is too open. We're oversharing with these teens.
Would you have said yes? Would you have taken it?
No, because of the financial constraints. I mean, look, I can't fit $1,000 new expense into my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are in the most expensive season of my entire life. I cannot fit $1,000 a month. It would have to take away for what? Funding my kids' college?
Travel sports.
Instead, I'm out of points. Travel sports. Oh, don't start me on that. I have an update to you two when we get off the air. Good Lord. Anyway, this is a very personal thing. And I'm just telling my story. Here's my disclaimers. I'm not making a judgment of anybody. That's just my journey. So do what you do. No judgment from me. Okay. Don't let me forget to tell you the travel sports update here. Whew. Okay. We ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner show is the Spitbank Fort. Constructed in the 1800s and decommissioned around the 50s, Spitbank Fort is a unique 33,000 square foot piece of military history turned boutique retreat. fully renovated over the past 12 years of consistent ownership. The Spartan Outpost was transformed into a property with 9 guest suites, a bar, a restaurant, a wine cave, a rooftop terrace with a hot tub, and a sauna, among other amenities. The property is as well suited to be a private fortress as a functioning business, and sits a 15-minute boat ride from Gun Wharf Quays, with London just a short commute away. It and its 99,000 square foot sister island, dubbed No Man's Fort, will be auctioned by Seville's on June 18th. So for those that are not seeing this on our live stream, Dame, how would you begin to describe this?
It looks like a house sitting on a giant inflatable raft in the middle of a
Mhm.
bay.
Yeah, it's like an island buoy or something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, Kristen, would you improve those descriptions?
It literally looks like one of those water trampolines, and
Yeah.
they put a house on it.
Okay.
But very tall. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking about what? That's probably 60 to 80 feet off the water.
I kind of both love this and hate this.
I think it's cool.
I do too. Like, I'm a little bit of a curmudgeon, shut in. I would love to be shut in on a large water tramp. Okay, what do we think this thing costs? It's it says bid now and it's got a number.
Oh,
So you're gonna have to just go with what the
Yeah.
starting bid is.
okay. Is the starting bid $1 million?
Is that your guess, or am I supposed to answer questions and ruin the segment?
That's my guess.
Okay, Dame.
I'm gonna guess this starts at 10 million pounds.
What does that mean?
Convert that now. $1.27 million.
Wow.
Kristen is improving. Here's the thing, guys. I'm not sure this is a waste of money. I think if I had $1.27 million, I'm extra. I might use that. Buy
I need more pictures of that because that's intriguing. I mean, there's a tank, there's a car like a cargo ship in the background that looks. I understand perspective and scale, but it looks positively tiny compared to.
Yeah, Spitbank Fork
Huh.
or Fort. Spitbank Fort. Dame, what's in the news this week?
I need to know if you want me to go with like real serious stories or a little lighter flavor today.
Kristen, you want you to determine that.
I would like a real story, please.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
That felt
Oh.
judgmental to me.
Okay.
Like that really felt pointed to me. But go ahead.
Like a seasoned stunt double or a toddler on carpet, the economy may still be capable of making a soft landing. New economic data out yesterday showed inflation eased in April, setting the scene for a potential Fed rate cut despite a string of hot inflation reports from the first 3 months of the year. Core CPI, which tracks the price of goods and services excluding volatile food and energy prices and is closely watched as an inflation indicator, rose 3.6% from the same period last year. Yes, that's a good sign, apparently. That's the smallest annual increase since April of 2021. On a monthly basis, core CPI rose 0.3%, marking the first time in 6 months that its growth slowed from the prior month. Other good signs include grocery prices dropped 0.2% from March, the
Wow.
first decrease in a year. Health insurance and car insurance increased, but more slowly in April than in March. And a separate report released this week showed consumer spending stayed steady last month.
I'm distracted by the copy. Did you write that first line or did someone else write that first
Someone
line?
else wrote that line.
That was really good. So is the question or the idea here, does it feel like inflation has subsided? Is that what we're maybe trying to evaluate?
Yeah, it's the claim is inflation is moderating or potentially coming down a little bit, and Fed rate cuts are back on the table.
What's your feeling there, Chris?
I feel like this is so hard because inflation has been a buzzword for
Forever.
2 years and we just can't get away from it anymore. And your personal circumstances shape this so largely because I feel like life is kind of cheaper, but that's because I started grocery shopping at Aldi. So
Are you've just been, are you getting paid to name all these brands on the show this week?
Good point.
no, I have an Aldi quarter and it's so cheap and I love it.
Damn. I talk about Weight Watchers on this show, and I'm like, I'm out of points and I'm angry. She's like, I go to Aldi, I got more money than I know what to do with.
Now I do.
Are you getting paid by them?
No, I wish.
Damn
I
it.
wish.
Have you heard the thing of no landing, that we're not going to have a soft or a hard landing? We're going to have no landing and it's going to persist. Have you heard this idea?
I have not, but I don't hate I don't disagree with the concept right now.
Yeah, it just feels like it's going to keep going along.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it doesn't feel, I mean, look, you two know me as an optimist. I don't see an end in sight. I feel like interest rates are going to be this high now, much longer than we had expected.
Feels like we are in a giant holding pattern and a tanker plane is pulling up in front of us to refuel so we can just keep staying in the holding pattern.
Well, with the, Dow hitting all-time high in this week, with S&P too,
Mhm.
there's not going to be a huge appetite to futz with that.
Yeah.
What else was in the news?
Kids officially cost more than a house. That's according to a report in Bloomberg citing new research from the nonprofit Child Care Aware of America, which found the price of care for 2 kids has surpassed rent payments by 25% in every state and is more than double in 8 states and DC. Per the report, a married couple spends 10% of their income on childcare, well above the government's 7% recommendation, and the average child costs their parents about $11,600 per year, up 3.7% from last year. Lack of access to affordable care is a major culprit, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said in a January speech, but I think it's more closely tied to the pallet of Takis my kids go through every month.
She said that?
No, I said the Takis part.
Okay. I was like, wait, Janet Yellen made a Takis reference?
No.
Were you just testing to see if I was listening and not staring at the ceiling?
I was looking, I didn't, and when I looked over, I was surprised to see you staring back at me. Yes.
Kristen, you and I, you two more than me, you see the numbers of what people spend on stuff, and I'm not here to dispute the 10% per child on childcare. Let's say that, okay, that equals 20%. People spend more on that than housing.
Mhm.
A lot more than that on housing. Like, what am I missing here?
I don't know, because I would agree with that.
I mean, it's astronomically high childcare. I'm not saying people shouldn't be upset or messed up or whatever else. It's just like that idea doesn't even make sense.
I don't know if you've got 2 kids in childcare. I don't think it's unreasonable to think that you spend more on childcare per month than you do rent.
Yeah, but didn't they just say that it costs $11,000 a year to raise a child?
One child, so that's 22,000 for 2.
And the average child costs their parents
10%.
11.6 thousand per year. What I don't know.
Didn't they also say that it's 10% of their income? So people spend more. That would say the average house, if they have 2 kids, people spend more than 20% of their income on housing.
And nobody knows. This was just a poorly written article. I apologize. I didn't write it, except for the Takis part.
How
That's me.
dare ye? Dame, you have a quick 20-second story?
I will read the quote real quick. Quote, "You have become the Michael Cohen and Harvey Weinstein of the FDIC, and I urge you to step down." That was what one representative in the U.S. House told FDIC Chair Martin Gruenberg this week.
Oh,
What?
my.
Wow. So we're just really offering an olive branch to our government colleagues there at those hearings. Holy cow.
Yeah. It's a
Yikes.
234-page report detailing sexual harassment and bullying in the FDIC.
Oh, well, you buried that lead. I thought it was just about policy.
Yeah, same.
No.
Okay, well, then he deserves it. I don't know. I don't know anything about the case. Anyway, all out of time, all out of points. I'm Pete the Planner, sending you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. Have a lovely week.
I'm all out of points.
I just want a t-shirt collection that says all out of points. I had a clever t-shirt idea the other day, and no one cares. No one cares. Okay. Anything else, folks?
No.
Nope.
All right. Let's get off the air so I can tell you my ridiculously dumb story.
Cool.
It's even worse than I would tell all of our public friends. Anyway, I love you all and stay getting money.